Everybody knows that journalism is not what it used to be. This statement tends to breed an unnecessary sense of moral panic, as scholars and citizens tend to think that just because journalism today has transcended traditional forms of news consumption and news production, that young people, to quote Mindick, are malnourished with respect to the news in a land of information plenty. This notion, however, is untrue. While journalism may not be what it used to be, this presentation will prove that young people are in fact better informed and engaged in the news. During the heyday of broadcast journalism in the 60s, audiences would tune into a 15-minute news bulletin delivered by a talking head. Today, as cited by Harrington in the Week 4 lecture, the volume of output of news production has increased exponentially due to the technology and rise in Web 2.0. Harrington argues in Week 4 that there are many emergent forms of journalism that are succeeding in reaching young people. The rise of technology in the last 20 years has dramatically altered the state and role of the news. In fact, news is available 24 hours a day to audiences in a range of different media. Online, in RSS, TV, social media, and downloaded to your mobile phone. Harrington states in Week 5 that this contributes to the democratisation of the media. This information is digested immediately, particularly by web-savvy young people, and regurgitated on social media sites, Facebook and Twitter. In line with McNair's chaos theory, here we see the developing homogeneity in journalism leaning towards heterogeneity of opinion and editorial diversity, as news is tweeted and blogged about in online discussion and open understanding. Further, Harrington alludes that if the state of journalism was measured by the volume of output of content, then the sheer abundance of online news sources, blogs, vlogs and social media would confirm that journalism is flourishing. Along with the massive increase in the volume of news, there is a diversity in today's media that needs to be addressed. Contrary to normal TV news, news can come in many different forms and can be measured as a conversation and not a lecture. Enter the Australian television show The Panel, which Harrington, in his article Future-Proofing Journalism, states is an example of the way in which news can be simultaneously enjoyable and informative. In Harrington's research, he found that the unique style and format of The Panel appealed to a younger audience. Specifically, the guests on the show were not a talking head. They were living in the same world and using the same language as young viewers. This made The Panel a highly accurate view of how young people discuss the news along with their friends. The show echoes a normal social dialogue, and this spectrum of opinion allows people to identify with the topics under discussion. And by using this dialogue, Harrington says that The Panel has the ability to equip its audiences with the discursive tools in which to facilitate their own discussions of news and current affairs, which ties into Fisk's desire for news for a greater number of voices, degrees of openness and points of view. Further to this notion, Fisk states that talk is one of the main ways in which meanings are produced. So if The Panel is effective in linking the macro subjects of politics into the micro level of understanding and relevance to a viewer, which it is, surely this should arrest the moral panic surrounding the notion that journalism is not what it used to be. So while only touching on some of the examples of the changes in the news, I have successfully illustrated that yes, journalism is not what it used to be, but there is no need for moral panic. There is hope for young people. We're not ignoring the news, we're very much involved, just in a more diverse and in-depth way that any broadsheet or regular TV broadcast could allow.